As of May 14th, as stated by the government website for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, cdc.gov, there has been 1.43 million confirmed coronavirus cases and a total of 85,601 deaths due to COVID-19. This is a global pandemic that is affecting everyone's day-to-day life, and for some unfortunate individuals, it is completely changing their lives for the worst. Reading the various news stories about COVID-19 and keeping up with the San Diego community on social media, it has brought some light into how our city is handling the lockdown, and why there are issues on how to move forward while this pandemic is still on the uprise. As the lockdown continues on longer than most people expected, there has been mass gatherings assembled to protest because of this statewide lockdown, demanding that everything should be reopened and is a violation of their freedom. But I think it would be catastrophic to lift the lockdown. While this pandemic is progressing and still a major threat to our health, especially for the elders and medically vulnerable individuals. This is harmful because these mass gathering protests can potentially be spreading the disease. Even though the protesters may not be directly affected, they may down the line carry the disease to someone else when and if they go grocery shopping or anywhere else they might go. Social distancing is important for all of us. It is especially necessary for people who have tested positive for COVID-19 or are experiencing cold or flu-like symptoms. However, since some people may be carrying the disease but showing minimal symptoms or none at all, we all need to practice social distancing for the greater good. This can become a bigger problem later on if there is a surge of new cases. Then it will in turn make the lockdown go longer and can create a bigger economic issue. In addition to the detrimental effects that reopening the public space will have on the economy, it will also result in a sharp uptake in coronavirus cases. Reopening public spaces will negate the original purpose of shutting down in the first place, to reduce the number of potential cases of COVID-19 and flatten the curve. Researchers predict that reopening public and private spaces to the general population too soon could result in a second wave of the pandemic. The Washington Post reports that if states begin to reopen too soon, the second wave of coronavirus could be far more dire, as it would coincide with the upcoming flu season. Reopening public spaces too early will only prolong the duration of the pandemic, needlessly causing more deaths and further weakening our economy. Maintaining this lockdown would be no easy task, as many people view that these state-mandated stay-at-home orders as egregious violations of our basic human rights. These protesters are clearly very passionate about this matter. Even the president himself is supporting such movements, according to the Washington Post. President Donald Trump himself has tweeted encouragements of such anti-lockdown movements, urging followers to liberate Minnesota and liberate Michigan, which are the two biggest states that are protesting their statewide mandated lockdown. Many proponents of reopening the public also argue that we should end the lockdown because our communities are suffering as a result. They claim that the social isolation, lack of leisure activities, and the sudden halt of favorite American pastimes, like shopping, dining out, and partying, are damaging the overall mental well-being of our members of our communities and weakening the strong sense of community and shared heritage that Americans once enjoyed. And perhaps the most cited reason in support of reopening the public arena is in order to relieve the financial strain lockdown measures have created and reinvigorate the economy. It is beyond a doubt that the lockdowns have resulted in immense economic turmoil. In fact, MarketWatch reports that the coronavirus stock market crash is comparable in magnitude to the global financial crisis of 2008, one of the worst stock market crashes in modern history. Many people are, therefore, arguing that we should end lockdown and quarantine measures as quickly as possible. However, this is likely not the solution. As the New York Times states, reopening to the public space too soon could result in an even worse economic upset, creating a financial crisis on par with the Great Depression. It is evident that this initial economic downturn was an inevitable consequence of experiencing a global pandemic. All we can do is try to alleviate the damage already done, and clearly, the best way to do that is to maintain state-mandated lockdown measures in order to put an end to the outbreak and flatten the coronavirus curve as quickly as possible. To get through this together, we must remember that we aren't just looking out for ourselves, but for our neighbors, co-workers, peers, and the rest of our community. If you need to go out, do so, but just for essentials, and practice social distancing measures that are in place. All of these concerns brought forth by anti-lockdown protesters, while valid, are in my firm belief greatly outweighed by the many lives that will be saved if we maintain the state-mandated quarantine measures and social distancing practices that are currently in place until the severity of the pandemic is significantly reduced. In order to protect the lives of the immunocompromised and mend the economy, it is only a sensible course of action is to maintain and extend mandatory lockdowns. It is absolutely imperative that we remember staying home means saving lives. Thank you, and have a nice day.